Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Elevating Your Life. Oh, we're going to have just an elevating show for you today. I am just so thrilled to share with you my amazing friend, Michelle Clare. She is a multifaceted practitioner with an abundance of spiritual expertise. As a certified medium, angel intuitive, and spiritual coach, she navigates the realms beyond our physical existence. Additionally, Michelle brings her gifts as a medical intuitive and energetic healer to illuminate the paths of healing and self-discovery. Having survived 3 near-death experiences and having had 2 shared death experiences, Michelle's journey is marked by resilience and profound transformation. Michelle is excited to share new information about soul plans, shared death experiences, and navigating the delicate landscape surrounding suicide. And you are amazing. And I have to say, I have experienced time with Michelle, and it was it was amazing and wonderful. Michelle, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me here, Paula. I'm truly honored.
Oh, I've just been counting the days, so excited. Well, first off, would like to share a little background and tell us about your NDEs, your near-death experiences, and what that did for you?
Yeah, I would love to. So I've actually had, this is going to be the Cliff Notes version, by the way, but I've had 3. And so I had the first one in April of 2000, and then I had the next one in May of 2006, and my third and most significant one was on 11/1/11, so November 1st, 2011. So for people who like numbers, there's a lot of ones right there. But with each near-death experience, and the first one, none of these did I actually have the terminology near-death experience. I knew I was having experiences that were beyond this world, that included my loved ones on the other side, angels, Jesus, and I knew I was having these experiences, but I did not know they were called near-death experiences. So it was truly beyond words for me. And some of the things that I learned with them in the first near-death experience, I had this huge seizure. I opened my eyes. I was laying with my head in my grandma's lap. She had passed away a couple years before that. Here she was holding my head, and I look up next to her, and there's this 14-foot tall angel. And this angel, well, 12 to 14 feet. She was huge, especially when you're laying on the ground. Looking up at her beautiful, radiant presence and just being pulled into her energy. And I remember thinking to myself, what is your name? And she answered me in my head. She said, my name's Madeline. I'm one of your guardian angels. I was a little surprised. I also didn't know about telepathic communication. So in that near-death experience, I mean, there were so many things that I learned, but one of them was that heaven and our loved ones in spirit and our angels know we are coming. I had no idea I was about to step foot into that realm that day, and yet I was met with love and compassion and people I knew and my guardian angel. So it was quite beautiful. The next one that happened in May of 2006. At that point in my life, I had 3 little kids, a 5-year-old, 2.5-year-old, and an infant. And I had to go in for surgery, and they were doing a D&C. I had been in the hospital quite a bit after I had my son. They were doing a D&C. They said this would be a 45-minute outpatient procedure, and they would send me home. Everything would be good. So I remember counting backwards for the anesthesiologist. And as I started to count backwards, I just went into that blank space. The next thing I know, my beautiful white German Shepherd, who had passed away a couple of years before, walks into the operating room, lays her head on the gurney, and she's looking at me, and we are gone. And we are on this phenomenal beach with colors that we don't have here. Intensity of emotions like beautiful, unconditional bliss, timelessness, all of these beautiful feelings. And at that point in time, I was with my dog, and I could feel my son, who was 6 weeks old and at the house with my mom, calling to me. And I went to him, and he was afraid that I was getting ready to leave. I remember saying, I'm not going to leave you. I'll find a way to stay. And so I start praying. And in that moment, I'm taken back into the operating room. I feel Jesus come in as like my best friend. Hey, I'm here to help you. What do you need? That was the energy, not bow down and pray to me or anything like that or judging me. And at that point, the operating room lights up with this beautiful white golden light. And the next thing I know, I was waking up in post-op. And that procedure that was supposed to be 45 minutes turned into a 3.5 hour emergency surgery because they ruptured my uterus in 2 places and they missed my artery by a millimeter.
Oh my gosh.
So once again, I know I've had this experience. I don't know this is a near-death experience. And after each of these, I come back with a lot of physical trauma. So I've got to work on my recovery and my healing with these. But one thing that I like to tell people is that in none of these was my soul connected to my body as it went through the trauma. So I think a lot of times as we're watching our loved ones transition, or we hear so-and-so passed in a car accident, and we're thinking about maybe the trauma they were feeling, what's really important to know is that on a soul level, we don't have to feel what it feels like for the body to go through that shutting down process or that near-death experience.
Oh, wow. And to know that and realize that is just huge.
It really is huge because I think so much of our grief when we're watching our loved ones transition comes from watching them what we would consider suffer. And
Mm.
that doesn't mean that at times they're not uncomfortable and we don't need hospice or medication or things to help them be more comfortable. But a lot of times in the traumatic part or the final stages of passing, that soul's not connected to that body anyway.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, that is
Yeah.
amazing. And was it these NDEs that triggered your realization that you have mediumship abilities?
So my mediumship had started around the age of 12. My grandfather had passed away, and I was realizing he and I were still in communication. So I would tell my mom what my grandpa said, and she would say, well, that's what you think he would say if he was still here. And so I realized kind of quickly, like, oh, I guess not everybody's talking to grandpa. Um, but what happened was I had that then throughout my life with my grandma when she transitioned and things like that. But in my third near-death experience, really, that day I was up on a ladder. I was 12 feet off the ground and I fell and I hit the back of my head on the corner of my granite island. So I had a 5.5 inch skull fracture, a brain bleed. I lost my taste, my smell, my equilibrium. But before, and this is what I'd say, before my body hit the ground, my soul was absolutely ripped out of my body, not in a painful way, but in a fast way. Think bungee cord, right? Pulled out. I was standing with these 3 people that I had never met. One was an Asian woman, no, an Asian man, an Egyptian woman, and then a Hawaiian man. And as I stood there with them, they asked me, what do you want to do? Do you want to stay or do you want to go? And so in that moment, I actually had the option to choose. And I became aware of my 2 younger kids who were in the kitchen. I could see them. And when I saw them, I knew I needed to stay. So as I made this decision about staying, I was downloaded with a bunch of information. And part of that was like, okay, but now you're expected to go back and practice your mediumship and do the things that you do to help people and to, just bring that healing into the world. And so I agreed. So then I end up falling. I have massive physical trauma again. Takes me months and months to move through all of that. But then I started getting information and visits from other people's loved ones that were quite significant. So, like any good mom, then I thought, well, I need a counselor because I'm talking to dead people, right? So as spirit would have it, they led me to the perfect counselor who said, oh, Michelle, what a gift. Let's get you a mentor. And it just progressed from there.
That is so awesome. That is so awesome. And I have to bring into the mix, the connection and the availability we have to feel and know our angels are there. I was putting my shirt on today, preparing for the show, and there was a white feather on my shirt. And I said, yes, thank you, angels. Yes. I mean, our angels are around us always,
Absolutely.
aren't they?
Oh, they always are. And one of the most common questions I get asked is, does everyone have an angel? Yes, everybody has at least one guardian angel, if not many more than that. And I find that our angels actually specialize too. So if you're getting ready to start a business, you might have an angel join your team that specializes in starting businesses, or, maybe you're becoming a mom or you're dealing with a health issue. So we always have at least one angel, but usually there are multiple, and they'll come in and out depending on what phase of our life we're in and what we're really needing the help and guidance with.
Wow. And I've always wondered, do particular angels stay with us in every lifetime? Or is it new angels? I mean, probably the archangels are with us always,
Mhm.
but do we have guardian angels that stay with us throughout our different lifetimes?
I definitely think that that's very possible. One time I was doing a reading and I was shown almost like an angel of this person's Akashic records. And so I became aware that there was this one massive angel guarding every lifetime this soul had had. Now, I will also say with that, though, I do think we choose new angels depending on what we're planning on experiencing or what they're specializing in. But it would always be a choice. So if you have your favorite angel, heck yeah, your soul is going to say, hey, you're with me for the next 2000 lifetimes.
Wow, I love it. I love it. So for those out there that might be thinking, okay, I want to communicate, or I want to get messages from my angels. How do I go about doing that? How do I become more aware? What would you say to them?
Yeah, so it's always in the silence that we hear the message. So, number one, we've got to learn to quiet our mind down a little bit, whether this is going for a walk, meditating. A lot of people get messages driving their car or in the shower, right? Because we've given ourselves a moment to be quiet. So, think about those points in your day where you find that you're getting your aha moments, and then start setting intentions around them. Like today, in the shower, I'm going to connect with my angels and I'm going to get the answer or the guidance on this. Or as I'm driving to the grocery store today, I will set my intention that the clarity around this subject will come to me. And so when we create this space and the time, we really then have the opportunity to hear and feel and know the answers.
Yeah. And that just that makes me smile, you mentioning that. When I was writing my Why Am I So Happy book, many times I would be in my car, maybe sitting at a light, and something would come to me that I want to put
Mhm.
in my book. I had that happen a lot.
Yeah. I mean, the beautiful thing about spirit world, angels, life guides, loved ones, source, they are always in connection with us and sending us messages. It's just that we have to give ourselves the moment to tune into that frequency or that channel.
Yes, yes. So to tune into that, would you say then just quiet moments, just kind of chill and be open to it? Is that the key?
That is the key. It's really about being open to it. And the way that I work when I'm in readings, I think of life guides, angels, loved ones, work. Everything is on a different frequency or a different channel. So, although it all comes from source, think of it as a radio station. So, if somebody says, Michelle, I need a reading with my angels, we're going to go to channel 111, life guides, channel 112, grandma, channel 103. So that's the power of intention, right? I want everyone to start using their intention. Like today, I'm going to be extra tuned in to channel 111, my angel channel. And I'm going to know that any messages that come in today are from my angels. And I'm going to see, feel, know, and hear them, or whatever those parameters are that we want to put on it. Spirit world always, always wants to communicate with us. We just need to build in the time to listen, hear, feel, and know.
Yes. And numbers are a message for us, aren't they? When we see
They
that
really are.
11 and 444, I mean, that's really, just happen to look at something and that's what the number is. That's a message, isn't it?
Absolutely. They really are messages. And they're usually very inspirational, like, keep going, you're almost there, time for the new beginning. I love when people actually, I'm good with people Googling numbers because you don't need to look through all 200 pages of what the number one represents, but find the article in the first few that correlates and feels right for you, because what that might mean for you today, it might mean something different for someone else, and yet it's very valid for both of you.
Yes. And Michelle, how much would you say we actually design our lives before we're born? I mean, we have paths, we have challenges that can come to us. Do we design a lot of what we go through when in this lifetime?
We really do. So that would be our soul plan. And I believe that what happens before we come in is we're in that heavenly realm and we're picking our angels and our team and who's going to be mom and dad and play all the roles in our life. And as we're up there, we start to design our life, and we call it a blueprint. And we say, I want to learn these lessons. I want to have these experiences. I want to enjoy the contrast to planet Earth. And planet Earth has a lot of contrast, as we all know. That's something that is not in the heavenly realm. So it's hard to learn some of the lessons that contain contrast there because it doesn't exist there.
Oh, wow.
So significant portion of our life is, I would say 80 to 85% is in the blueprint of what you plan before you come here. But we have free will, and we have that on a soul level. So no soul is ever forced to be here. No one is accidentally here. We are all here with a plan, with a purpose. And then the other part of our free will is what we experience in our human form. So we can be like a dog chasing our tail in a circle for years and years of our life, or we can start moving forward. So we actually have free will on both levels.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So we have all that. We have the soul plan, we have the free will, we have the guidance from our angels and our guides. It's just fascinating, isn't it, Michelle?
It is fascinating. And it's really interesting to me with the work that I do, that I get to see how we have choices on how we want to build our human story around our soul plan. So our perspective is everything, as you know, right? And
Yes.
so some people might pick up a story where they will say, I was unwanted. My mother put me up at birth for adoption. I was an accident, right? And that's your human story. Your soul said, I'm coming in. I can't get to the mom I want to be with that way. So I'm going to go through this mom, and then I'm going to come out, and then I'm going to have this. So none of it was ever accidental. You were never unwanted or unloved. But when we start to realize that we actually have so much power in knowing our soul plan, it gives us the freedom to step back from the human perspective or emotions that might not be beneficial to us overall.
Oh, I love it. Michelle, tell us about, kind of the work you do with everyone and how they can contact you, read about you, to become involved in that and experience your awesomeness. Share some of that with us, please.
Oh, thank you. So for me, when I'm doing readings, I connect with angels, loved ones in spirit, life guides, psychic information, and medical intuition. So I like to be able to help people navigate their life in the way that's going to be most productive for them. And I do that with their spirit team. So every reading looks different because it's really what your team is telling me you need. And that's really the beauty of what I get to do. It's always different. But with that being said, I do have online events. I have in-person events if people are in the Phoenix area. And you can find all of those listed on my website at michelleclare.net.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I know my time with you was absolutely amazing. And oh, just it really is beautiful that what you're doing for others and how you help so many people, Michelle. I do want to give you a heartfelt thank you for that. Wow. And I'd like to
Oh,
bring into
Thank you,
play.
Paula, and thank you
Oh,
for
you're
being you
welcome.
and helping so many people.
Thank you. And I have to share, um, our pets, animals, our pets are a big part of, they're with us spiritually. My white German Shepherd, the picture behind me, she is the reason I learned Reiki 25 years ago. But there have been times I have felt her laying her paw on my arm and felt her around me. I really believe that our past pets, animals, they're there to guide us and love us as well. What would you say to that?
Oh, absolutely. In my second near-death experience, my white German Shepherd is the one that walked into the operating room and laid her head on the gurney. So, yes, they're still here to guide us through our humanness, and they're absolutely waiting for us on the other side.
Oh, wow. Wow. And oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say our souls are not accidentally assigned animals either. So our beloved pets also have made a soul choice to come be with us and assist us in this lifetime.
Really? They've chosen
Hmm.
us? Oh my goodness. Oh, that makes me smile. Oh, so
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, that is just a beautiful thing. And a lot of people talk about, I want to find my soulmate. Do we have soulmates, or is it just connecting with people that we have a connection with? What exactly does soulmate mean, Michelle?
Yeah, so we do have soulmates, but they're going to come in every shape and form. We have soulmate animals, like your special German Shepherd, my special German Shepherd. We have soulmates maybe as kids, as a best friend, as a sibling. We have soulmates in the form of life partners too. And it's my understanding that we have more than one potential soulmate when we come in. There's not just one person on the face of earth with 8 billion people that is the right person for you, but we usually have a couple options. And then depending on the choices we've made in our life, it's the path that we've taken that will lead us to which soulmate we're supposed to be with at that time.
Oh, wow. That's fascinating. So we have several soulmates. How exciting that is.
It really is. I mean, I've worked with many people who have lost their first spouse to, they've transitioned from an illness or whatever this is. It does not mean that their second life partner isn't a soulmate too. It just meant it's like, think of it as a play. Q life partner number two coming in the year, whatever, 1987, right? So you really can have more than one soulmate. I think our humanness, we like to see things black and white, right or wrong. There's only one. And on a universal level, that's a very limiting belief.
Oh, wow. So would you say so much can be opened, and just by allowing and being open, our intuition, being open to soulmates we may connect with, to messages we may receive. I mean, it really is amazing out there, isn't it? What we can bring into our lives.
It is so amazing. It really is. And our biggest struggle as humans is our mindset or ideas that we have in our head about how things have to be or have to look, whether that is the way you were raised or religious, or you're just the person who creates the idea of what that needs to look like. The minute we say to the universe, you can only do this through option A or B, we're literally limiting the universe, because the universe says, really? Because I see 2,000 ways to make that happen. And we're like, only A or B, that's it. So it's never in anyone's best interest to have a limited mindset.
We have the whole alphabet. I
Yes.
love it. We have just a couple minutes left in the show, Michelle. What last message do you want to share with everyone?
I want to just reiterate a little bit of what I mentioned earlier. Your power is in your ability to perceive things. So you actually have a choice in the way that life is happening to you and the way that you're choosing to perceive it. It doesn't mean that you're happy that you had maybe a fender bender this morning. But what that does mean is you can say, okay, that might have saved me from something that was going to be more catastrophic later today because now I've gotten delayed. Or you can really start to use your perspective to say, okay, that guy just cut me off in traffic. Maybe he's not a jerk. Maybe he's rushing to get to the hospital because someone he loves needs him.
Mhm.
Our perspective liberates us from ideas and emotions that are not productive for our individual life or for the higher good. So really notice your perspective in life because that's where your freedom lies.
Yeah. And you know, that little analogy there, that perspective, I have to share, it was a few years ago. I was going to pick up my grandchildren at the bus stop and there was really bad traffic. And I was like, I can't have them get off the bus and me not be there. And so once I started moving, I was just speeding to get to the bus stop. And I thought, you know, that made me realize that maybe sometime when you do see someone speeding and they may have a reason, there may be something behind that. That really
Right.
opened me
Yeah.
up to that.
Yeah, it just, I would say the more we can live life open-minded, honestly, not just the better it is for us as an individual, but the better it is for humanity and for raising the vibrational consciousness.
Yeah, and raising our vibration is fantastic. Oh, Michelle, I have enjoyed you so much. Thank you so much for
Oh,
joining us. Oh my gosh. Everybody, thank you for joining us today. And you can learn more about Michelle, michelleclaire.net. I'm just thrilled. Love, hugs, and blessings to everyone. Michelle, love, hugs, and blessings.
thank you for having me. It's been an honor.